Hey, welcome to another video. This is a 3KS pick. It's a really fun slider lock. I messed up the audio originally, so I'm going to re-record over the top. You can see in this shot that I've got a couple of aids to help me here. I'm using a 3KS slider type pick with a little kind of V-shaped cutout on the top, and you can see I've got my little lock light here. That's what's kind of being held in the clamp at the top of the screen. It's a really easy bit of kit to make, and it's really makes a lot of difference to picking stuff like this. It lets you see what you're doing without having to resort to backlighting or any of those sorts of things. The easiest way to make them is to find some old digital transfer cable, some optical hi-fi cable essentially, and you just strip down the outer a little bit, and the other end of this is attached to an LED, albeit quite a bright one. So for those that don't know the 3KS, it's a really nice lock to play with. It's got a whole load of sliders, and those sliders are at two different heights, and so you have to work a little bit to kind of navigate through what is quite a tight keyway. So you've only got about 0.4mm between the opposing kind of tall sliders. And the trick to picking these is to start by manipulating them all, basically finding any slider which is binding hard and not jiggling or moving around in any way, shape or form, and just give it a nudge. And as you do that, you fall into subtle and increasingly less subtle little false sets until you get to a point where pretty well everything is in some gate or another. Okay, so that means that everything is in, or each of your sliders is either in a false gate or in their true gate. The next thing to do is to go through and to test each slider in turn. And if it jiggles a little bit, then it will be in a true gate. And if, when you crank the tension on, it doesn't jiggle at all, it's locked up solid, then you're in one of the false gates. Of course, it may not, it's slightly more complicated than that, in that you need to make sure that the slider you're testing is the most heavily bound one. So what I tend to do is to go through a couple of times, just check the sliders, and if something's really bound up solid, I'll assume that it's in a false gate and I'll just give it a nudge. You don't know whether the false gate, you don't know whether you're one side or the other side of the true gates, so you need to have a little bit of a memory for what you've done, or you need to be able to look in the keyway here and realise, if you're at one extreme end of the slider's range of motion, then obviously you're going to be moving it back towards the centre. If you're somewhere in the centre, well, it's a 50-50 chance. So what you see me doing here a couple of times, although it's obviously incredibly difficult to work out what's going on inside the lock here, is I will shift a slider, I'll test it again, and then I might shift it back in the opposite direction. I suppose you could have a look at the key, you could use the key as a reference and know what's what, but I don't personally tend to like doing that because it makes it a little bit harder to blind pick these things if opportunity ever presents itself. The pick I'm using, as I mentioned, is a 3KS type pick, or a slider type pick with kind of a V-shaped notch. I'm hoping to see if I can get some of these made up commercially, because at the moment there isn't a commercial solution. There's lots and lots of pictures and lots of drawings on the LPU Discord, and I can send you mine if you like, but this is it's got to be homemade for now. Hopefully we'll get somebody to make a commercial version. A couple of different styles, a couple of different designs. Some people have an entirely flat. This one here is bent at the end just to help me reach past some of the taller pins, and I've used it for various other sort of slider type locks. like the Asa Desmo, for example. So we're sort of 5 minutes in, and on a good day this lock would be open by now. I don't think we're a million miles away from it, but we shall see. I really recommend this lock. I said earlier there's some nice little false sets. It's a really good fun. It kind of just clicks and pops away, and you slowly get better and better, or you slowly get more and more false sets, and yeah, it's nice. It's good. You don't get kind of a, as you move through the lock and as you increasingly set more and more sliders into their true gates, you don't get any feedback in the same way, or you don't get any counter rotation, I should say, in the same way as you do with spools, but it's still pretty interesting all the same. You might see a DMAC sticker in the background there. That's who I got this from originally. It's really nice. This particular one is entirely unmastered. You can, I think, 2 or 3 mastered sliders, and it's still a black belt lock. And I think if it's got more than that, it drops down to red, and then so on. I imagine that picking one of these with some mastering is actually incredibly fun and could be really quick. This one is pretty crisp and sharp, and actually it's quite challenging, I think. Well, it's a funny sort of challenging. It's I think anyone could pick, you could pick one of these. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of sitting there and laboriously going through each of the sliders and developing a little bit of a technique for dealing with them. But if you can pick a Desmo that is unmastered, for example, then you can probably pick one of these pretty well straight off. It'll just take you a little bit longer. That's what I reckon. Just shifting my light around. The tip of this fibre light is bent at 90 degrees just to channel some more light down into the lock. It really makes, as I say, a world of difference to just seeing what you're doing, making it a little bit quicker. You can do this blind without, without looking, without having any illumination, but it's just a bit tedious, and it certainly takes me a lot longer to do that than it does with light. I'm looking at my desk here and I'm thinking, goodness, I should really tidy this up. Never mind. A couple of other stickers on the vise. There's a Lawlock Tools one, which I like Lawlock Tools. I think they're good quality. They're good bits of kit. And I've actually got one off an avocado, which says "Pick me, I'm ripe," which made me laugh. Tension tool is just a tension tool out of the standard Lawlock set. I've seen people use all sorts of things with these. When I was learning to pick this, I did try various different kinds of things, but this works well for me. You don't need any counter rotation, you don't need to be terribly precise, and you just need to have a slightly light touch so that you can slide those sliders. You could brute force it, I suppose, but then of course you risk damaging the lock, so I'm using a lightish tension here. What I hope to do fairly soon is to pick up a contact mic, and so you can enjoy all the clicks and pops for yourself as I pick these things. Now I'm right in the last moments of this pick, I think, and you can see my hands are shaking a little bit because I've been picking a little while now, and I'm in the delicate bit of setting the last few sliders and trying not to drop anything else. The angle is such that, if I let up the tension too much, then those sliders are free to slide, and they'll do just that, and they'll drop down to the bottom again. Excellent, it's open. Just a note on gutting these. Gutting these is a bit weird, or a bit unusual. You can't gut them when they're open, so you have to pop the key in and lay it flat so the sliders don't move around. And in this particular case, there's the key control bar just gets caught up on the back there, so I've just given it a shove. and then it slides right out. So once those sliders are all lined up in the middle, they don't poke out, and they can slide right out, and we can show them off. A little bit tricky doing this because they go absolutely everywhere if you're not careful. So I'm trying to be careful and trying not to drop them all over the place. As we cut this, I usually find it easy to hold the key control bar in place because that stops the sliders from sliding out of one side, but as I say, my fingers are tired. I'm also clearly committing cardinal sin here with the thing leaving the frame for a second, but well, it's the only 3KS I've got, so yeah. Don't think I can be bothered to record this again. We shall see. I might do another version sometime, but actually I think I probably won't bother, as I don't need to, which is marvellous. If this was, if I was trying to get a belt with this video, that wouldn't work, that wouldn't do, because I could be, could be cheating or something, I don't know. I don't see the point really, you're cheating yourself, but them's is the rules. I'm actually using my Galaxy pick. You can kind of see in my hand there, I've just popped it down. I'm using my Galaxy pick there to slide those sliders out, which is kind of funny. And here we go, now we're in the swing of it. I'm popping these things out. And dropping them into my little tray here. The files for the tray actually are available online as well. It's 3D printed and it sits at an angle so that when you drop the pins into the tray, they slide into the right place, line themselves up neatly for photoing or for your video or whatever it is. There's a rounded bottom to them to make it easy to pull them out as well, and a couple of other nice features. I'm quite pleased with it. So you can see those sidebars there probably, and you can see how they've got kind of, if you like, two parts to them that interact with the gates. So in order to get into the true gate, you're actually lining up two bars that make up the sidebar with two slots in the slider. So you'll see this is the core, you can see it's all boring and normal. You'll see when I lift them up in a second that each of the sliders has got two deep gates in it, and most of them have then got one false gate as well. Okay, so there's that, and there's that. They come out as a unit with the springs attached, and here you can see the little sliders. The key control bar is that bit at the top. It doesn't do anything, it just stops you from putting the wrong key in, the wrong 3KS key in. So there you go, a really nice little pick. Fun thing to do. I highly recommend you get one. That's it from me. I hope you have a really nice day. I hope you're enjoying your picking. Remember to take a break when you get frustrated. Picking stuff like this is hard, and it takes a while to get the skills and the stamina, and it's really easy just to burn out on it. So don't do that. Just take it easy. Enjoy yourselves. Subscribe, I suppose, if you want. I mean, I'm pretty infrequently making videos.